My name's Louise Brock, and I currently work as a person-centred counsellor within a school and sixth form college setting. And I've been working as a person-centred counsellor now since 2008, but in lots of different settings within the community, and feel so passionate about the work and absolutely love it just as much as when I first graduated. Absolutely. So I kind of looking back, it feels like quite a long journey actually into 2008 when I actually qualified and graduated as a person-centred counsellor with my diploma originally. But many years ago, I actually trained in travel and tourism. So it was a completely different industry that I was working in. Working in London, organising travel and hotel bookings for lots of different large businesses. It's funny looking back, in my late teens, I started doing that particular work, and I knew in my heart that it wasn't something that I wanted to do long term, that it didn't enable me to kind of have that connection with people that I always kind of felt drawn to. And it kind of felt a bit soulless in some ways. It just didn't fit who I was as a person. And having the opportunity to have some counselling in my late teens and early 20s, the wonderful counsellor that I built a really good rapport and relationship with actually enabled me to kind of explore the kind of work that I wanted to do. And I've always known it was around kind of supporting others, kind of connecting with people. I'm very much a people person. And I think that experience of working with a therapist was actually really inspiring, actually. And I felt very drawn maybe to doing a beginner's counselling course, just a 10-week course. And I was hooked. As soon as I did that 10-week course, I just felt that kind of inner spark is the only way I can kind of describe it. And I felt really excited about it. So from that 6-week course, and I was just in my early 20s, I think I was maybe about 21 back then, I went on to do a certificate in basic counselling skills. Knew nothing about the person-centred approach, if I'm really honest. It was just the course that was available at that time. And what I found early on was the person-centred approach, and that sense of kind of that kind of inner wisdom and knowing what's right for us and kind of being able to reach our full potential in the right environment. It kind of fitted with who I was as a person. And yeah, I just absolutely loved it. And then went on to do the diploma in my mid-20s and stayed on to do the degree. So it just kind of evolved over quite a long time in my 20s. So yeah, and I still feel, although I've done other trainings, I've kind of trained in CBT as well. Person-centred is my core. That's kind of the cornerstone of my work, really. So yeah, still absolutely loving it to this day. I feel as well, mental health has always been something I've been extremely interested in, kind of understanding the psychology behind mental illness. And I feel that's come from having close relatives that have struggled with mental health issues. So from a young age, I've had that kind of awareness around mental health, and I've just felt really passionate about it, kind of empowering people to kind of improve their mental health. And I think that stems way back from being quite young and growing up in an environment, seeing people struggle with their mental health. What I love about being a counsellor is there isn't really a set day. That's what I feel really excited about. And there's always an opportunity to kind of work with different people, and working in a busy school. You can imagine there's always lots of different scenarios that unfold, and that can happen throughout the course of one day. And my role can be a combination of kind of meeting students for the first time that really want to access counselling but are extremely anxious about coming along. So it might be a little bit of a pre-meeting to introduce myself, get to know a little bit about the student and what's going on for them before we actually go into a formal kind of consultation to see how we can work together. And that might include kind of maybe inviting the student to come into the counselling room. For some students, students that are often on the spectrum, the autistic spectrum, might like to use some of our sensory aids whilst they're talking. So it might be kind of getting familiar with some of the other resources that we have in the room as well, to enable students to feel a little bit calmer really in the environment, especially for that first time that we meet. As well as art materials. Sometimes students like to kind of experiment with art materials, and gives us the opportunity to see how we can work best together. So consultations, pre-meetings, but also running a lot of workshops as well. Within my role, I like to get a lot of feedback from students and staff that are working closely with students that perhaps are struggling with their emotional well-being, as to what they actually want to attend, what kind of workshops, what kind of themes would be helpful for them. So I really like to involve them and kind of get that feedback to make sure that myself and my colleague are offering the topics that are really needed at the moment in school. And also we work closely with staff. We offer support to staff as well sometimes if they're not quite sure how to approach something with a student that they're concerned about. It might be just offering that reflective space for a member of staff just to kind of process maybe what's come up as well. So it's very varied, and what's really great is that we can really use our own autonomy and initiatives in kind of running different projects as well within the school. So it's quite a new project and it's kind of really exciting really. So that's kind of within the school and sixth form setting. But also I do offer some one-to-one sessions in private practice as well. At the moment, I'm still working kind of via video calls, but from this year going forward, I've now got an office space that I can use for some one-to-one face-to-face sessions again. So I'm quite looking forward to doing that again. And also group sessions in the community. I've been very, very fortunate to receive an art grant fund that I've been able to use specifically to running a group in the community for carers. So it's a topic that's very, very close to my heart. And, you know, that once again is a very different way of working. So primarily using arts where people can kind of express how they're feeling, and over the course of 4 or 6 weeks, connect with other carers to kind of gain that support for themselves, but also to really have that kind of confidential space where they can process whatever comes up for them. And that's not always about their caring role. It could be about grief. It could be about difficulties in other relationships. And yeah, it's really great to also have that work running alongside the school work. So having the opportunity to work with adults as well. It just makes me feel extremely passionate and excited, because my experience of doing the training and working in a very creative way with others is that it's very gentle. It's still very, very person-centered. So it's not about analysing at all, which I think a lot of people feel a bit apprehensive about when they first come, maybe to a creative arts session. Or I often receive comments of, oh, I really can't draw, I've got no idea what to do. And obviously it's not about that. It's about the process, and it's about understanding the image from that person's perspective. And I feel it kind of brings not only the gentleness, and the person can go as far as they feel that they want to go with the art piece of understanding what's on the page. But it adds almost like another dimension, I feel, to the work, that it can enable kind of not only the things that we're aware of in terms of our emotions that are just under the surface to emerge, but also the kind of much more deeper emotions that are under the surface. And I find that it's very, very powerful, and there's no right or wrong way about it, which is also what I really love about this. And I just find that it's powerful, especially for somebody that might feel quite skeptical when they come into either the workshops or when they actually come to do some one-to-one work, how fascinated they are and how it really connects in with what they're experiencing in ways that they never thought that it would. And yeah, there's something, I almost want to say, quite magical about it, actually, how it works. So really powerful. And yeah, it's always about going at that person's pace as well, which I really love about it. So very different to your CBT and other kind of solution focused work. You know, it is about going at that person's pace without any set goals or agendas. And I really, really love that in my way of working. I strongly feel as well, just in my nature, I love making things and creating things, whether that's painting, whether it's knitting. I'm currently learning crochet. For me, that kind of really enables me to feel calm and to be very much in the moment. Whereas a lot of other things, I feel still very distracted. I find that my mind jumps around, but creating, being focused, enables me to be in the moment. And I notice that with other people when I'm working with them. There's something very grounding and just a wonderful way of connecting in. Yeah. I feel what I've noticed through my work is that it is about that almost fear of getting it wrong, of doing it wrong. And yeah, I just, you know, reflecting on the groups that I've run just recently in the last 6 months or so, you know, can almost see it on somebody's face, kind of the fear of somehow being judged or not getting it quite right in some way. So I guess I'd like to stress the point that actually it's not about that at all. It really, there is no wrong or right way about doing art. And it is just about having that openness about us and a willingness to kind of connect in and just to be with whatever comes up on the page or whatever it is, if it's a clay piece, however that item kind of emerges for that person. There really is no wrong or right way. And it's about just trusting in that process as well, I feel. That's kind of maybe the main points. And yeah, how we can discover things about ourselves, once again, in a very gentle way, at our own pace. And the people that I've worked with, my experience as well in actually doing this training is that it's just phenomenal what can come out of a creation. It really is. I'd say definitely the seasons, the changes of seasons, kind of being outdoors, kind of noticing the changes in colours. And I noticed recently when I've been creating or kind of creating art, painting, or whether it's the wall that I'm kind of connecting with an item that I'm making, there is definitely a connection with the winter and the long nights and what that evokes within me, how that makes me feel. And winter I really embrace, and actually I really love the changing of seasons around winter and the colours on the ground and, you know, kind of the leaves and the frost and the snow that we had recently. All of that really triggers that inspiration for me. And I find it very grounding as well. So there's something around that. And I feel one of the things that really helps with that inspiration is actually getting out in nature, kind of connecting, whatever the season, whatever the weather is. It's a really kind of helpful and quick way of me connecting with that inspiration. If I'm feeling a bit stuck or a bit blocked, kind of just getting out and being in nature helps to reconnect with that kind of inspiration, if that makes sense. So it's hard being working as a counsellor, doing a few different projects. I have 2 small children as well, so life is busy. What I try to do is to kind of integrate, because it's impossible to add more time. So I feel it's important for me, for my emotional well-being, for my work, for me to make sure that I kind of integrate that creativity day to day. So whether it is, you know, when the kids are maybe creating, I'll sit there and do my own creation next to them, you know. It might be kind of reflecting on the point around self-care as well. I feel that is sometimes a theme that comes up. Obviously, being a counsellor, working in a busy school, you know, it can be really full on. So it's something that I'll do with my colleague as well. We'll kind of create that time to do CPD, to do creative arts or sessions as well for ourselves too, as a way of not only just nurturing ourselves, but also it's tuning into that creativity and making sure we're looking after myself as well. Um, yeah. Um, just thinking as well, I feel when I'm maybe looking at introducing maybe a particular workshop, an example is recently I offered a positive affirmation jar workshop for students, so for much younger children. And I will actually do that activity prior to actually offering a workshop as well, just to connect with it and to notice what comes up. And I find that works really well, having also done the actual exercise too. And writing, that's something that I also tend to dip in and out of. So sometimes using a writing journal. I'm actually doing a writing course at the moment, which also touches on journaling, and it's about connecting with winter and getting into the habit of actually reflecting every day through writing. So that feels very creative, but also keeping an actual art journal as well. So it doesn't have any words, but I will keep key pieces in there, and I might connect that maybe from things that I find on a walk, the colours, and kind of experiment with different layering, and that's something that I'll dip in and out of throughout the year as well. So once again, that's something that really connects me back to my own creativity as well, and really good, in terms of self-care as well, and staying reflective. So all these things I feel kind of connect back with, ensuring that I'm maintaining that creativity within me.